Good morning. Welcome to First Parish Church in Billerica's service. We are on Zoom because of the snow emergency. We are a Unitarian Universalist welcoming congregation, and whoever you are and wherever you are on life's journey, you're welcome here this morning. My name's Brita. I'm going to be the worship assistant for today's service. And our worship leader this morning is drummer extraordinaire, Dave Curry. He will tell you about his journey as a drummer. I believe he's led a spirit drum circle for us last March. It's just a beautiful, wonderful meditative drumming experience. And we're going to have it again in the summer because we're being snowed out today in January. And we're very, very happy to have him with us here this morning to lead our service.
Good morning, everyone. I'd like to share a few words with you written by Susan Cooper, Susan Cooper, and this is a poem called The Shortest Day. So the shortest day came, and the year died, and everywhere down the centuries of the snow-white world came people singing, dancing, to drive the dark away. They lighted candles in the winter's trees. They hung their homes with evergreen. They burned beseeching fires all night long to keep the year alive. And when the New Year's sunshine blazed awake, they shouted, reveling. Through all the frosty ages, you can hear them echoing behind us. Listen. All the long echoes sing the same delight. This shortest day, as promise awakens in the sleeping land, they carol, feast, give thanks, and dearly love their friends, and hope for peace. And so do we, here, now, this year, and every year. So I will begin the chant, and I'm going to sing it through 4 times, and join me wherever you are, and sing along where you are in your home. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power, Spirit, draw near. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power, Spirit, draw near. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power, Spirit, draw near. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power, Spirit, draw near. I want first to say thank you to the members of the Billerica Church for inviting me to be part of your Sunday service today. The original intention, of course, is for me to be in a room with you all, and I would have brought a pile of drums with me, and we would have been able to actually drum together, and that would have been the focal point of my visit, would be interactive, participatory, all of us sharing together in the creating of rhythm. That doesn't work so well when you're on a Zoom, as I've learned in numerous occasions that when you try to get two people drumming at the same time, the internet imposes its delays and everything gets out of sync, and you can only imagine how chaotic that can be. So I am pivoting and taking a different approach today. In that I will be sharing a little bit of my personal journey that has brought me to rhythm and drumming as a spiritual practice. And along the way, as I'm sharing this story with you, I will share some of my drumming with you. And we can sort of treat this as a spoken meditation and as also a rhythmic meditation. And then based on how much time I have at the end, I will drum for a little bit. And at that point, I would invite you to really use that as a moment of meditation. But let me start with my story. Back in mid-December, we passed through the winter solstice, the shortest day of the year and the longest night. Our ancestors expended great effort to build astronomical structures to determine when the solstice took place, because it was crucial to them to know that in the depth of winter, it would eventually come to an end. And the sooner that you knew that the light was coming back, the more that you could hope that you would survive to live another year. But today, we just look at a calendar and we can get the same information. But it almost seems inconsequential, even disconnected from the actual grand clockwork of our planet swooping around our blazing star, canted at a rakish angle that at times makes us turn up the furnace, or at other times to turn up the AC. So the seasons are all moving to this great celestial clockwork, of which we sometimes are disconnected from that. Our modern lives have a tendency to inoculate us from the deep rhythms of nature. And by being disconnected from our true mother, are we apt to lose our center and to become ungrounded? When I take my customary late-night walks before bedtime on the country road by my father's house in Maine, I have a wide open view of the sky. The road heads east towards the ocean, and when I look up, there is the constellation of Orion squarely in front of me, looming overhead. And with my eyes, I follow what he is chasing, which is the Pleiades, the constellation of the Seven Sisters. Together, these two constellations of stars are my companions that greet me in the heart of every winter. Regardless of whether it's bone-chillingly cold or mild, icy or clear, seeing those reliable old friends in that part of the sky at that time of night marks the season for me, the cusp when the darkness begins to give away to the light. Even though all the signs tell me that I'm in the depths of winter, and that no matter how gloomy the weather might become, the stately departure of those two constellations from the heavenly theater paves the way for the sun's return and its warmth and the regreening of the world. And so the rhythm of the seasons marches forward with a quickening tempo and a livelier step. My grandfather, Walter Nielsen, was a farmer in Scarborough, Maine. Although he was a dedicated church-going man, he was not one to be given to mysticism, and he didn't need rituals to remind him what season was what. The seasons and his daily routines were so deeply interwoven that nearly every aspect of his life was governed by those seasons in one way or another. In fact, he was the embodiment of those phrases from Ecclesiastes. To everything there is a season, and a time to every purpose under heaven, a time to be born, and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to pluck up that which is planted, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to break down and a time to build up, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to cast away stones and a time to gather stones together, a time to embrace, a time to refrain from embracing, a time to get and a time to lose, a time to keep and a time to cast away, a time to rend, a time to sow, a time to keep silence, and a time to speak. In the spring, a lot of attention was given to the birthing of calves and piglets. Our family knew the arrival of spring because the milk that we received from the farm changed flavor rather dramatically when the cows had their diet changed from the daily rations of hay, which was stored in the barn, to the fresh grass of grazing in the fields. We called it the green milk, and even though the unpleasant taste only lasted for a week or so, its annual return was as predictable as any calendar. Each stage of the farm year was marked by occurrences that were followed as closely as any religious ritual. The cutting and the baling of the hay, the seeding and tending of the garden and the vegetables, the spreading of the manure on the fields, the harvesting of the gardens, the slaughter of the chickens, the cutting and splitting of firewood, the canning and preserving and freezing of food. The tempo of the seasonal rhythms would rise and fall with the amount of activity that needed to be done, And there was no, I'll get to it later. Farm work is an imperative, and once it is put into motion, it does not stop. Like the hands of time that continue to sweep around the clock, the ritual must be obeyed. Now, my grandfather has long since passed. The farm has ceased to be a farm when my uncle, who shared the agrarian duties, had also passed. My mother eventually returned to live in the old homestead, and our family now loves to gather there to remember the way of life that that property represented so long ago. It's an idyllic place, and in time it will be placed in the care of a land trust, which will preserve it as an oasis of green space amidst the crush of development that has engulfed the town of Scarborough, Maine. When I visited Frosty Meadow Farm, which is what my grandfather called it, to see my mom, I sometimes made it a point to stand quietly in the fields and to tune in to the memories of my grandparents and all that they toiled to create out of that land. If I gazed around me at the silent barns and the pastures, I can recreate in my mind the patterns of that life that used to run like clockwork from season to season, year after year. Even as a teenager, I would wonder at what it meant to have one's life so firmly bound to the cycles of nature. To make it work, one had to be willing to surrender to the demands and the hardships and the relentlessness of it all in order to reap the rewards and to rejoice in the bounties that honest labor and devotion to purpose could bring. Over the course of my life, I have experimented with various ways to connect the dots between my inner spiritual search and the stream of existence that continually flows around me. One of my favorite books from my college days was called The Unbearable Lightness of Being. It was written by Milan Kundera from the Czech Republic. The underlying message of that story is that if we view life as an ongoing series of disconnected, one-off experiences, then everything becomes ephemeral and fleeting. We become little more than leaves on the wind, blowing across the noisy stage of the world. But Kundera points out that it is through attachment, connection, and recurrence that our lives can achieve a kind of weight that holds us down to the earth. It's a kind of weight that we can find reassuring. It gives a sense of substantiality that we crave. That weight alone may not bestow our lives with meaning, but it can give us a purchase onto something solid upon which we may construct our own vision of purpose, our mission. I believe that maybe this is one of the primary reasons why people find their way to sit together in church pews on a weekly basis. For a number of years, I was involved in a quarterly ceremonial sweat lodge. This really checked all the boxes for me, in that it was directly tied to the seasons, and every element of the lodge had a spiritual significance that was firmly rooted in honoring the earth and honoring the men and women who chose to walk that particular path with me. It was about as visceral as one could possibly hope for. I would probably still be attending lodges today if it had not been that that couple who hosted the lodge decided eventually to retire. But it left a deep impact on me. After a number of years, I switched my energies over to being engaged at the Milford Unitarian Church and was putting a lot of energy in trying to keep that community afloat. There was so much potential that this was a foundation for building a personal spiritual anchor. But unfortunately, the personalities and politics of that particular institution amassed too much weight, making it the kind of anchor that ends up sinking the ship rather than providing a safe harbor. The key lesson that I learned from that experience is that I needed to forge a spiritual path of my own invention from the ground up in order for me to be invested enough to want to stick with it. And it turns out that the driving engine for that invention was rhythm itself. So at this point, I'm 26 years into an experiment with hand drumming that now serves as my creative outlet, my social focal point, my education on how to educate, and the hub of my spiritual ventures. Drumming is such a primal endeavor. It's easy for folks to relate to, and a wonderfully fun way to bring people together. Its repetitive nature makes it a powerful tool for meditation, and to me, it's much more potent than any frustrating attempt that I have made to wrestle this mind into a Zen-like quietude. Drumming itself is ripe with metaphors about continuity and adapting to the flow in the moment, and building strength from the familiarity of recurrence and repetition. Through drumming, as through any expressive arts, one meets so many fascinating people. And it's through these fascinating people that one learns about alternative paths to spirituality, other forms of ritual, other ways of developing purpose and mission and meaning. My grandfather chose his path early on in his life, and once he made his choice, he was committed to it until the end of his days. He carved out his anchor, and with it he came to know a kind of love of the earth and the inseparable dependencies of life on that earth that most of us, may never fully appreciate. For him, the path was clearly defined, and the cyclical waves of time brought him always back to the same mission. To everything there is a season, and a time to every purpose under heaven. Now that we've passed through the winter solstice, and we've stumbled our way through the hubbub that surrounds the holiday season, I admit yeah, we kind of need that festive mood to offset the long gloom of winter. But in all that commotion and noise, do we lose track of nature's own ritual to be still and to cocoon herself in frozen silence? Do we lose track of her resting and restoring her bones? Perhaps once the commercialized chaos has subsided and we enter into what we now think of as the dog days of winter, we might pause to reflect on the many spiritual traditions that remind us that in this season we should mirror the silence of the earth in our own hearts, to take advantage of this time to turn inwards, to consider our purpose and our mission and our meaning. In these moments of reflection, may we rediscover our ongoing experiment to construct a reliable anchor that maintains the bond between all that is ephemeral and all that is eternal. In the stillness and the chill of a winter night, I invite you to look up and see the dependable rise of Orion and the Seven Sisters, those twinkling reminders that the seasons come and go, and with them we come and go. And when Orion leaves the sky, spring will return, and the rhythm shall change. And so too shall we change in time with the dance. I would like to invite you to join me in a meditation that is based around rhythm. You heard me drumming throughout the story that I shared with you today. And those bits of drumming can show you the variety of rhythms that can be created on a hand drum. But the power of hand drumming, or any kind of rhythm, is that through extended repetition, you can allow yourself to become engaged in the rhythm to the point where you can let go of all the other mental baggage that might be running around inside your head, and just focus on being present and in the moment. So what I'd like to do is to drum for you, with you, for a few moments. And if any of you have a drum at home, you're welcome to drum along. But more the idea would be for you to just close your eyes and listen to the sound of the drum and allow yourself to just be present and one with the sound of the rhythm. And I will call you back in a few minutes, and then we will bring our service to a close for today. So relax, find a way to be comfortable, and I will begin playing a rhythm, and this will go on for a little while. So allow yourself to just, as they say, go with the flow, and don't necessarily be concerned about time. Hopefully we'll just lose track of time for a little while. So relax, close your eyes, and be in a state of peaceful mindfulness. And when the drumming comes to a close, we acknowledge the silence that comes after the notes have stopped, knowing that the silence is just as important as the sound. All right. Thank you for sharing a moment of time for that meditation. All right, so this may also be a chant that people will recognize. So I'll begin to sing the chant and I'll repeat it 4 times through. And if you pick up the melody where you are in your homes, feel free to sing along with me. May the flame be kindled within me. Let your love burn bright. I hunger for your light. I hunger for your light. May the flame be kindled within me. Let your love burn bright. I hunger for your light. I hunger for your light. May the flame be kindled within me. Let your love burn bright. I hunger for your light. I hunger for your light. May the flame be kindled within me. Let your love burn bright. I hunger for your light. I hunger for your light. I'll conclude our service today with a Yuletime prayer for which the author is unknown. It's brief, but gets right to the heart of the matter. Cold and dark, this time of year, the earth lies dormant, awaiting the return of the sun, and with it, life. Far beneath the frozen surface, a heartbeat waits until the moment is right to spring. Once again, I'd like to thank the members of the Billerica Church for inviting me to be part of your service today. And I certainly do hope that we have an opportunity to drum together and to share rhythms together in person, because it's so much more meaningful when we can be together in a room, sharing a common space and being part of the immediate experience of drumming. So I look forward to being able to reconnect with you folks and to share rhythms with you. And I hope that everyone stays warm and stays safe.